news. Here's one, Idiot's Corner. Are you going to spend the rest of the day talking the UK economy down? That's from Loz, who is exactly who people like Liz Truss somehow appeal to, and Kwasi Kwarteng. So Kwasi Kwarteng's delivered, unless Loz is against appearances, contrary to appearances, on about £1 million a year working in the city, which seems unlikely. I don't want to read too much into a single tweet, but it seems highly unlikely. Unless he is in that category, then he is a lemming. He is a turkey voting for Christmas. His scarf, his Tory scarf, is tied so tightly around his neck that he's now trying to criticise me, who's just been given a huge sum of money by Kwasi Kwarteng, quite possibly more I've saved in tax in the last hour than Loz will earn in a year. And he thinks that I'm his enemy and Kwasi Kwarteng is on his side when I say that's absolutely grossly unfair. Well done, mate. Seriously, just stay away from scissors. How many times on this programme have you heard me talk about footballification? The idea that people will cheer their team regardless of what is happening on the pitch. And we'll refer back to our friend in Idiot's Corner, who is now talking about people talking down the economy, even as Kwasi Kwarteng gives me thousands of pounds and gives him nothing. I mean, this is the day that if the scales don't fall from your eyes, they never will. There's a compelling argument to be made that apart from the bankers and the hedge fund managers and the investment funds, the people who and the American tourists, the people who benefit most from Kwasi Kwarteng's budget, Kwasi Kwarteng's ideology, are homeowners with no mortgage because interest rates are going up. So, I mean, the idea that you can win an election with the support only of idiots like Loz and wealthy pensioners who've already paid off their mortgages is remarkable. And I can't see the calculation. This is the weirdest thing about this lesson I've been on, this journey I've been on over the last few years, is that apart from the epic enrichment of the already richest, there is no plan. There is no ideology. Kwasi Kwarteng might believe it, but it's like believing in Santa Claus or unicorns. Except, of course, one of those things exists. It's like believing in unicorns. It's like believing in fairies. He might genuinely believe that by giving me thousands of pounds, he helps you. He might have had to believe it. It might be almost religious. But it's bonkers. It's bogus. So there's a bloke called Andrew Lillico, who, if you haven't heard of, I feel bad for bringing him to your attention. He writes, embarrassed for the IMF. This is the IMF self-declaring as a left-wing body. The UK should now withhold its IMF contributions. So it's time to leave the IMF. Eventually, we're going to leave the solar system. Because the worse things get, and the more these pathetic individuals blame others, we've got to leave the European Union, we've got to leave the single market, we've got to leave the customs union, we've got to leave, didn't someone suggest we leave FIFA the other day? Was it because during the war, wasn't one of the 2019 Tory MPs refusing to watch England during the war? Anyway, we've got to leave that. When you define your politics by opposition rather than by support for something, which is part of Keir Starmer's appeal as well, I would say, he stands for things as opposed to being defined entirely by what he's against, whether it's the But all racists are liars. By definition, you have to be a liar to be a racist, because what you believe is untrue, is demonstrably and provably untrue. So I'm amused by people with, their bulldog avatars and their football hooligan bios saying, oh, they won't talk about this, when obviously everybody is talking about it. It's a huge story in The Guardian. The Labour Party have acted. Angela Rayner has condemned it. David Lammy has condemned it. But these people are absolutely adamant that people who are opposed to racism are actually secretly as disgusting as they are. Here's one. The QPR wingman on Twitter writes, as James O.B. loves to call out racists, I'm looking forward to his 1 hour slot discussing Rupert Hook and racism within the Labour Party. Except I am discussing it, mate. I mean, look, being a racist liar is bad enough. Now you've made yourself look publicly very, very stupid because you think I wouldn't talk about this because you think I'm as curdled and as bigoted as you are. But I'm really not. So in Idiot's Corner today, you'll have people claiming that because the pound is performing a lot better now against the dollar than it was in the immediate aftermath of Kwasi Kwarteng's speech, it's proof that everything has been exaggerated. I mean, even after 6 years of dealing with Brexiters, I still marvel at the level of idiocy, deliberate stupidity deployed by these people. Oh, well, the pound's doing well now. I bet you're not going to mention that. I opened the show with it, you clown. And I opened the show with it because it's a temporary reprieve from the impact of the budget. The bank, the central bank, the independent central bank intervened in an unprecedented fashion to stop the pound from crashing through the floor and taking pension funds with it. Full stop. New paragraph. It's a temporary measure, and when it ceases to apply, we're staring it in the face again. Goodness me, how stupid do you have to be not to understand that when it's staring you in the face? Actually, that's unfair. I withdraw that, because we're currently governed by a Prime Minister too stupid to understand the energy cap that she herself has introduced, as she demonstrated live on the radio yesterday. There you go, a 25-year veteran of the markets, the world of banking, just providing a very cool and clear analysis of how we look from where they are. But remember, Billy Bunch of Numbers with his bulldog avatar is pointing out that Germany also has inflation as well at the moment, and therefore, we're something, Brexit, something. Come on, lads. What's it going to take for you just to realise you've been mugged? You've been mugged for 6 years, and it's about to get worse. And not only have you been mugged, it's contagious. So everyone who knew this was coming gets mugged now as well because of your idiocy and the leadership of your political heroes. Plans that kind of thing, it just comes out of nowhere and takes everybody by surprise. A lot of love coming in for the calibre, the quality of the calls today. I thank you for that, Robert. Thankfully, we've still got some idiots texting. Here's someone calls himself SA Mike. He says the 33% is probably an outlier. Wait for a week. Starmer is not electable. Yeah, it is an outlier, mate, because the other polls that have come in the last 24 hours have a 21-point lead for Labour, a 19-point lead for Labour, a 20-point lead for Labour, and a 17-point lead for Labour. The 17-point lead for Labour being the highest ever lead recorded by that particular polling company, Redfield Wilton. So you hang in there. After 10, and I think we'll just combine Idiot's Corner now briefly with that question about what on earth are these people going to tell you to get angry with next? The people that brought you Brexit, Boris Johnson, Liz Truss, Trussonomics, all of the economic disasters that are currently engulfing us, labour shortages, energy costs. You're 12 years in charge, cheered along at every stage by an utterly sycophantic Tory media, and what are they going to tell you to get angry with next? Well, here's Mark in Norwich. He's talking about the housing shortage. He says, there's not a dinghy shortage, is there? And again, with Idiot's Corner, there's always a slim chance someone's trying to be funny as opposed to being unwittingly idiotic. But I'm fairly confident Mark's in the second category. Anyway, housing shortage doesn't mean anything to me or you, but get real, mate. You know what housing shortage means. It means we are being overrun by illegal immigrants. You are damn good, but you're not good enough to argue with that one, so you'll just have to ignore me. So have fun asking a question that you already know the answer to, says Mark from Norwich. No, me neither, but I suppose we should add to the mix that all the illegal immigrants in this country are buying all the houses, or just occupying all the houses, despite, of course, being legally prevented from doing so. I mean, they might be moving into houses. In fact, Mark, they will be moving into houses that are already occupied by people that they know or by rogue landlords who are putting them in conditions that are both illegal and insanitary, but I don't think that's going to be the reason why somebody in Norwich, for example, who's trying to get onto the property ladder is struggling to do so. But you crack on, mate. Thanks for the heads up. Stay away from scissors. Tom's in High Wycombe. Tom, I don't know if this counts as Idiot's Corner, but we'll read it out anyway. Why is it you always fall short of criticising David Cameron? He brought about the mess that is Brexit. Is there a code you're not allowed to badmouth your ilk? I mean, I don't know what you want me to say about David Cameron. The man's an absolute menace. He's a spoon-faced moron. Is that good enough for you? I mean, what are you talking about? I have absolutely no idea what it is that you'll say. Why? I mean, it's a bit like me doing a roundup of the match between Kidderminster Harriers and Fylde Town tomorrow, on Saturday, I beg your pardon, and you texting in to say, why aren't you talking about Chelsea, eh? I mean, you're ridiculous. Stop distracting me with your stupid messages and your ridiculous texts. 10:51 is the time. Matthew's in Stockport. 3 years.